Welcome back, everybody, to this week's episode of But Like Why the podcast. How's everybody doing? It's November 1st today,
It's a big week
the end
ahead.
of spooky season.
End of spooky season, on to the next spooky season, Election Day in
Yeah.
America.
Scary. Ooh. Ooh.
You thought Halloween was over? Oh, it's just beginning.
It's not over yet, guys.
But no, I don't think, I don't want this to be an episode about like whose side or like whose policies. I definitely feel like we should kind of talk about things in like just the larger picture, because I feel like it's so easy to kind of fall into that trap of it being our episode, our show, but like why? I just think it's important to remember, like, yes, like this is happening. We're gonna move into this very contentious election season, the end of this election season and battle. But like, there's so many things that we can remember, how we can make ourselves better. That I hope, I don't know, the rest of the collective can heal from, and maybe we can prevent dangers or falling into, I don't know, aggressive traps.
Yeah, I know. I definitely feel like I'm honestly just hoping that this time around we will. I think it can and possibly could get very messy, but I'm just hoping that we can really like learn from it as a collective and choose to react differently to things in the future. Like, I'm hoping that this is like our big collective release where we can kind of really see, like, shed light on maybe our flaws as humans, or just the way that we let these things affect us. I'm hoping that in the future we can really move past that and kind of choose a different way of reacting, and how you make your reality, whoever is in office, regardless of who's in office, like, how are you going to live your life? You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm. And how are you going to change yourself to make sure that everybody else has the space to change? Like, I think that when I think about this whole last few months, it's just been so many like splinters, so many like passionful, like really passionate moments where we really connected, moments where there was great healing, moments of really just like super divisive and kind of just like stressful environments that we've created for ourselves. And I think that each one of those splinters in the end, I hope there's going to be some of us that have really grown, and that they're going to really lay down the foundation for this next period of our lives. And I think that's going to happen regardless of who wins. But I also feel like people shouldn't get so caught up on who wins, and it should be more about like, well, no matter what, I still have to like invest in my community, invest in myself. How can I make myself better? How can I make my world better? I don't know. I guess that's what I hope happens afterwards. I mean, it definitely is going to be crazy. I think so many things are going to really change. I think how we I think there's going to be a lot of foundational changes, both physically, mentally. And it's going to be interesting to see, like, depending, of course, how long this election lasts. Like, I'm not sure if it's going to be something we figure out that night, or something that extends. I just think it's really important to remember to center yourself, meditate through this, find peace within through this, and just realize that, like, we don't have control over it. It's, like, so much bigger than us. And it's, like, but that doesn't change the way you interact with your community and how we can serve each other.
Yeah. Like, I want I want this to end up as like a positive thing, and I think it can, but again, I think it's like what we choose to do with it, what we choose to make out of our reality. I don't know, it's been an interesting ride. And I mean, it's definitely not over. Like you said, we really don't know what's going to happen and when we'll get these results. And yeah, I don't know. I just hope people take it as an opportunity to grow from, and like you said, like, kind of maybe focusing on what's actually around you and what you have more control over, which is your local communities and businesses. And like, that's so important. Like, we need to just support our own communities. Like, why? I don't know. Don't get
Yeah.
too caught up like in the whole world scheme, because we're just individuals.
In reality, we really need to accept other people's decisions. Like, I mean, I may not agree with certain things, or maybe I have different principles or different values, but I have to recognize it's like, look, like just like how I'm afforded the opportunities to vote based off of things that I feel like are going to be helpful for my family and for my life and my projects, I expect others to do the same.
Hmm.
And even if like, and I think, we're in a time where information is so skewed one way or the other. It's like you can literally watch one channel and watch the next channel. It's complete opposite. And you're
Yeah.
really leaning upon like what resonates with you. And plus the way that we perceive things is so different. Like some people are very logic thinker based thinkers, some people are more emotional based thinkers.
Hmm.
Some people have a better understanding of like how what we see is not necessarily what we're getting, while others kind of take things for as they are. And I think that that's always going to bring in conflicting views and interests, but I think that that's what's so important, is that we learn from each other and we kind of see like, hey, like I may not agree with your principles or your values, but in the end of the day we all want a home, a place of shelter, be able to take care of our families, find good work, make good money, and just enjoy
Yeah.
life, enjoy what's around us. So I don't know, like I definitely anticipate a lot of craziness, a lot of anger, no matter who wins, which is unfortunate. But I think it's like we're as we raise our vibrations and as we raise our consciousness up, which is what we're all being forced through. It's kind of
Yeah.
like universal
Absolutely.
shadow work that we're experiencing. I think that like some of us will get to the point where we're like, you know what, like we're not going to participate. We're going to keep building. We're going to keep making, and we're going to take advantage of whoever's in office to see like how can we build things up. I think end of the day, like the system's the system, but we are kind of chipping away at that dynamic in
Yeah.
whatever project we're participating in, or
Yeah.
interests.
Definitely. Yeah, it's like everyone, is going to have their varying views, but I think we should all respect each other no matter what. And at the end of the day, like the bigger picture is, yeah, we want food, shelter, water, and you know want to make a good living for ourselves. Like it's so much more simple. I think people make it more complicated than it needs to be, but again,
Yeah.
maybe that's like all part of the release of this whole like season and just this whole year, the whole theme of the year, it seems.
Yeah, and I think also we need to take a look at like what have we gained from this. I mean, I think a lot of the
Mm-hmm.
old social structures, establishment structures have kind of like fallen by the wayside for a lot of people, that I think those sort of ideologies held them back. And I think we're gonna, I
Yeah.
don't know, like I feel like in myself, there's a break of like, I don't need these systems to define the trajectory of my path and like what I can bring in. And I think that it kind of took the last few years of just kind of just seeing how silly and two-dimensional everything is, and how we like all collectively put on these masks. And it's interesting talking about that idea of mask and like who we pretend that we are right after Halloween, because I think Halloween's like the one time of year where that's like a socially acceptable, like we put our mask on, we become
Mm-hmm.
something else, but it's like we forget that we do that 364 other days of the year. And I think
Yeah.
that like this whole period has really forced us to put our masks down. And like some of us are either like clinging harder to that ideal that like
Mm-hmm.
we're creating for ourselves, even though we are tremendously vulnerable. And I think some other people, or others of us, are just really excited about this authentic period that I think we're really going to see, and just to see like raw human emotion. And I think no matter what viewpoint, I think that's tremendously inspiring and interesting, for sure.
Yeah. Yeah, it definitely is. This kind of leads perfectly into a question that we got on Instagram, which is like how and why did your personal beliefs change over time? Someone asked us to talk
Oh,
about that. Um and I don't know, it kind of goes perfectly with this whole thing, because I mean, for me it's just like experiences, influences. Of course, like I don't know, everyone is kind of shaped by how they've grown up, maybe your parental influences, maybe your friend group, maybe even like, what kind of community you were brought up in, or city, whatever. But it's like, do you think your personal beliefs have changed a lot this year specifically?
Yes. Like, I think
Like more
I've
than ever?
for sure, and I think yeah, for sure, because I feel like before it was like I have like periods in my life where I know that my ideals shifted dramatically. Whether it was like
Mm-hmm.
going into college and I kind of had to shed a lot of these childhood ideals I had, and then I was exposed to kids from all different walks of life and different places, so I kind of picked up more information, and then moving out of where I grew up and moving across the country shifted my perspective and shifted like how I viewed the world, and like how everything I thought needed to be super high paced. I felt like I needed to like build this life that others could kind of be, I don't know, like be like, wow, like fascinated by. And
Yeah.
end of the day, it was like I was super empty and like I wasn't fulfilling my needs and my interests. And I will definitely
Mm-hmm.
say like with coronavirus, the pandemic, I've definitely shifted my ideals where it's like, wow, like I actually do want super traditional things in terms of like being closer to my family and like maybe like working towards a home and like finding like a really good partner and a solid foundation that like I probably weren't as popular in a place like LA where it's so much more about, like success and like getting to you want and like, you're willing to leave a lot behind to get these things.
Yeah.
And I definitely think that's what pushed me towards just a different way of looking and maybe more, and even like I think getting out of a place where it was like I felt like it's very like I want to say like I feel like corrupt capitalism is something that's happened a lot that's
Mm-hmm.
has like gotten gradually worse in this country for sure. Like I don't think there's ever
Yeah.
been a period where we've had like pure capitalism where everyone's kind of allowed to participate, but I think in a place like California and LA it was just like so it was just so the extremes were just so high,
Right.
and it was just so hard to even appreciate a system like capitalism because it was like I wasn't able to participate in it in the way that
Mm-hmm.
I wanted to, especially from where I'm from. Everything I have I've had to build and like really put my like
Like
heart
work
into.
hard for,
Yeah, I work super
yeah.
hard for it.
Yeah.
um so I feel like even now, like I'm so much more like just leaving and moving my perspective. I'm so much more interested in the idea of like capitalism and earning and ownership and like really building something significant. And so I feel like it's just been like the caps. I mean, there's so much more to learn, but I think that this year really just like a capstone of just like what are your core interests and values. And maybe it's just turning 27, or maybe it's a collective thing we've experienced. But I just think that like the more I've kind of just like changed spiritually, whether it was like building a relationship with God or like changing my social habits or just kind of like taking myself out of situations that didn't necessarily serve my soul,
Yeah.
allowed space for me to kind of carve out my own perspective.
Yeah.
What about for you? Like, when did you kind of see like your perspective shift and you kind of realize you had different interests or beliefs?
Yeah, I mean, it's kind of similar to yours. Like, we have that shift from high school to college. That definitely changes things. That's kind, you're pushed into growing up. So, and then experiences shift. Maybe you believed this one way, but then you went through this experience, and now you feel the opposite way. So it could like, and I feel like just you should always give yourself that room to change and to grow. Like, you don't have to hold on to everything that you once thought or once believed. Like, open your mind, and I try to be as open-minded as possible. But this year, yeah, there was like a day. There was like a specific day that like I went down a bunch of rabbit holes and just learned a lot, and um really opened my eyes to things that I never wanted to look at before. um and a lot of it is regarding politics and just this system that we're in. And I always thought, ignorance is bliss, and my parents never really talked about politics. I kind of just they stayed away from it. So growing up, I was kind of the same way. I was like, no, I'd rather just not pay attention. But as I get older, I've realized the importance of paying attention, and how, if I don't pay attention, I mean, it could really affect my future. so yeah,
Yeah.
there's definitely a big shift in that, and just being like, no, I need to be aware of what's going on in the world. And it doesn't mean being glued to the news, like that's not what I mean, but just being educated, being well informed, and being able to like take a stance if I needed to, like where do I stand with this or with this. It's kind of fun if you just do some self inquiry, like what do I think about this. Might be a little scary or whatever, but I don't know, I think it's necessary
Yeah, I
right
feel like
now.
you definitely have to challenge your beliefs, and I think that the biggest thing is just like realizing like politics is so icky and and it's so
Yeah.
deceptive and it's so like I don't know. The way I've kind of just understood is like everything that I kind of felt like in my life or what I believed growing up is like the opposite now. And
Yeah, right.
yeah, I definitely think it was like similar going down a few rabbit holes and just kind of really challenging my beliefs and looking at things and just being like, hey, maybe I don't know everything and maybe I'm incorrect. Maybe what I thought isn't true. And like just understanding like there's so much more to the story. Like I'm not just it's like things aren't that simple. It's like I'm not just watching the news. It's like I'm watching the news that is like being supported and like is being like funded by different
Hmm.
interests that might not have the same that might not be interested in like just our collective successes and moving
Yeah.
forward and like finding continuity and finding a way to coexist to each other. Like these self-interests kind of probably want us to be divisive and split up into our different corners.
Yes.
I'm just recognizing that like not everything I'm receiving is like coming from a positive place, and
Hmm.
just recognizing that like all I can do really is just like protect my own head and just check myself and just realize like hey like you don't necessarily want to fall on either side. You just want to be able to like look at things logically and really give things opportunity to really I don't know to really divulge and really look into things and be like hey like how does this feel like what does it feel for your heart like how do you feel like you're
Yes.
receiving this information.
Yeah, that's exactly what I was gonna say. Like, I heard one of my favorite like healers, mediums. Her name's Kate Mariah. Love her. Check her out.
Yeah, she's
um,
great.
she she talked about this a little bit. It was like a few months ago, but just about like the whole mass media like misinformation. You know, she mentioned that and was like, really, when you are taking in information, really like scan it, like scan your body when you're taking this in, and try to like really tune into your heart and your intuition with how you're letting this affect you. You know, like if you are scrolling, it's like, are you feeling more anxious, more angry, or or what is what you're taking in, is it helping you? Are you taking in, helpful self-care tips, or are you taking in negativity? Like, just being aware of that and knowing like which direction you're going in is so important, because you know it just affects your brain, like it affects how you feel, and
It
it's
does,
just
and
important to be aware of that.
yeah, and I feel like me, I like, have a real issue with just like being bombarded with like how I'm supposed to think. Like it's like it doesn't matter where I go. It's like I could try to listen to a song on Spotify telling me to vote. I try to like go get some
Hmm.
lettuce at the grocery store. It's telling me to vote, and it's just like to me it's so weird because I think people forget that this is like a massive marketing campaign. And like with marketing
Hmm.
and advertising, they're trying to get you to do something. They're trying to get you to like I don't know, make the effort worth it and like, lean
Yeah.
on their principles and lean on their idea. And I think that for me, like I'm one really excited to never have to hear about I'm gonna have to hear about voting, I guess, in the next 4 years, but I just be weary of that stuff and just realize like if you're hearing it from like every single source imaginable, it's like why are they asking you to participate? And why are they asking you
Right.
and why are they trying to scare you? I just think I don't know. I just think that I feel like
Vote like your life depends on
yeah,
it.
it's like that whole idea is just so ridiculous because it's like, especially when
Yeah.
it's like being said by a system that has literally illustrated all the trauma and issues that we are experiencing. It's like literally, it's like we created the problem and we're gonna fix it, and it's like that doesn't make any sense. Like maybe it makes sense for some people, but I really struggle. It's like you created the problem, now you want to like do a $1 billion marketing campaign to like get me to like vote for you, and but all the idea, it's like it wasn't for you, like you probably wouldn't be in this mess. So I feel like you just got to keep that in mind and just realize it's like we're not really getting new options. There really isn't any new ideas. It's just all you can do is really just look at things for what they are and just be like, look, like my needs are being met. I see certain doors are opening. I see a real honesty coming my way in a way that I've never really experienced before, especially in politics. And just look at that and just be like, hey, like it's not perfect. It's not like 100%. Probably like what I would think that it should, probably it's not, there's no perfect version of like, I think what people have this like really perfect ideal. It's like, we're going to get this Messiah that comes out of the water and it's going to come and like bring us all together and they're going to be the best in the boardroom. It's like, that person doesn't exist. We all have tremendous flaws. And at the end of the day, it's like, we just have to know that like, we have no control over the person in those positions of power, but we have control over our space and like the worlds that we create, and be more excited to create our own worlds, be more excited to create our own businesses where we have the right to talk about who we hire, why we hire them for, what we make, where we're posting it. Just like I feel like we need to disconnect from this like, oh, like I need to be influenced by powers that I think are better than me, and go more into like I need to create the world that like I think is my utopia and my ideal. And if people want to participate, they'll come and join, and that's great. And I think that's what we should really be focused on. Not really leaning so much on these like, I don't know, it's just kind of a lot of fluff to me. Personally.
Yeah, because I think we've talked about this and saying like, okay, like really think about your life, right? We're 27, right? And we're just now like kind of knowing what's going on with the system, with politics. I mean, more recently for me at least.
Same
so
here.
So it's like, has your life ever really been affected by whoever the hell was in the seat? Like really, like has your life? It's just funny.
Not really. It's like,
because I don't think so. I don't.
Like I feel like the only time, I think like other than like the grand of just like having like intense college debt, like our healthcare system's not fantastic, like just like redlining and all sorts of things that kind of sabotage our ability to grow. Sure, like that's the system collectively has made things harder. I don't think it's like anyone's ever made my life that much better. Like, I mean, it's when you're voting off of things like gender or race, it's like to me, it's like you could be purple green. It doesn't mean that you're gonna go in there and make my life better. So it's like, I'm more into people that are like doers and that are really gonna do what they say and aren't gonna back down to pressure. I don't think we should. I think we need stronger people, and we need people that aren't afraid to say what, have conviction and stand up against mobs and stand up against people who are trying to tell them that like, because you're making a choice that's right for you, it's going to destroy everybody else's opportunity to survive, which is insane. It's like, if you want to vote third party. Like, I think that's a crazy argument too. It's like, oh, like if you do this, then it's going to destroy everyone's life. And it's like, not really. It's like we destroy our own lives by our inability to disconnect from these structures that are made to make us feel insecure. And I think that, like, I don't know, like, I think that that's one thing. It's like, I hope that this is the birth of a whole generation of really strong, free-thinking, free-minded people. And it sucks, too, because it's like, I definitely have friends where it's like, I just haven't really spoken to because I feel like if I say something that doesn't align with what they're saying, I'm going to trigger them. So I just really, like, I'm very scared about, like, what I say, and I'm very nervous to even interact. Like, not that we're never going to be friends again, but it's just like, I can't talk to you right now because like right now we're kind of like, we have very different sensibilities, and it's not that neither what are saying, it's not either that either of what we were saying is wrong. It's just like, I just don't want to trigger an angry response. And I mean, I definitely have had situations like that, and I think that's really sad. And it's like we're just kind of forgetting like two different ideals can actually create a whole newer, better reality. And our ideals are much different.
Yeah, it's like we should really just create the space for that to happen.
Mm-hmm.
We're just so, oh, but I feel like we are breaking out of it,
Yeah. Yeah.
gradually.
Yeah, I hope so. I
But it's
definitely
cool.
hope
I
that we are.
have had like I have had some good conversations with friends that don't align with what I'm like kind of believing, but they at least gave me the space to open up about it, to share why I feel this way, and and didn't make me feel any kind of like way just because we don't see eye to eye on this one thing. Like, and I really appreciate that because I think, as long if you're friends with somebody, I mean,
Yeah,
are
you
you
should
gonna
be able
hate
to.
them because they like someone that you don't like? You're gonna hate
Yeah,
them
you
because of
definitely
that?
shouldn't.
You
You
know?
definitely
No.
shouldn't. That definitely
Like,
shouldn't be the
and
way.
I just feel like too, like withholding that hatred like in your body. I mean, what is that doing for you, for your loved ones, for the world as a whole? Like, I don't care who it is. Like, if you hate someone and you just portray it and spew it out, like, is that really effective? Is that really going to change anything? And I mean, what are you getting out of that? I just think letting go of that hatred that so many people have would be just a lot more constructive for our futures, you know?
Yeah.
Just let it go. It
No,
doesn't
I
matter.
agree. And it's like it's energy that could be invested elsewhere.
Yeah.
One, it's like you don't know these people. Like they literally could be fish with masks on and you have no idea. It's like
Literally.
seriously, it's like with someone working in the
I
film
know.
industry, like I've seen
Mhm.
people create day from night and night from day. So it's like
Mhm.
we really don't know what we're looking at every day. And it's like we just
Yeah.
have to keep that in mind. It's like we really don't know like what we're seeing or what we're experiencing. We're just the receiving end of it. And
Mhm.
yeah, and to
A lot of
like,
smoke and mirrors.
it's a lot of smoke and mirrors, and I think that we forget that. It's like we we pretty much like we have forgotten that actors and like performers are exactly that. They're actors and performers, and that doesn't mean we need to be.
Right.
And we should be better at seeing through it. And just like don't take it so seriously. Like
Yeah.
like we can't take this stuff so seriously. It's definitely something we have to give space to.
Mhm.
There's nothing we can control. If we're in a war with China tomorrow, that's kind of the way it is, and we as humans have to find a way. Like we can't prevent
Adapt.
that. Yes, we have to
Right.
adapt. We have to just understand that this is what it is, and we're in wartime. And how are we gonna create our way out of it? How are we gonna, I don't know, how are we going to
Persevere.
persevere through this? Yes, persevere through this.
Yes. Yeah. Yeah,
No.
you're right. It's true.
It's always going to be
Um
something.
yeah, right. It is. I'm excited to see what's next though. I mean, who knows? We'll take it day by day, you know what I mean? It's all that we can do and just try to be in a good headspace and support each other.
Yeah, we'll take it day
And
by day,
yeah.
and I think like the winter is probably going to be kind of intense, but I think we're on track towards like a really beautiful spring, and I think
Mhm.
once people kind of like rebalance and just realize like, okay, hell didn't freeze over, like we're still very much okay. There's not like, I think that's, I don't know, like I don't know what that defining moment is where it's like a giant rainbow protrudes out into the sky, but
Right. I
I hope
know.
that happens. I
Is
hope
that
we
what
kind
people are waiting for?
of
Like people are
maybe.
waiting for just for world peace to just like
Yeah, or just
happen
things
in
to
an
just make
instant
sense.
because of somebody else,
Yeah.
you know?
But I also feel like, things never really do make sense. So it's like kind of recognizing that too and just being like, hey, like things never really make sense. They're not supposed to make sense in life. But you're kind of just supposed to roll with the punches and prepare for whatever comes.
Yeah, absolutely. I believe that like when we die, we gain like all the knowledge and we know we
Yeah.
just know everything. That's what I always say. I'm like, well, I'll figure it out when I die. Like, I can't figure it out now. I'm sure I will whenever I'm in the other realms. Like,
and I guess you get to deal with like having multiple perspectives instead of the one, which I think too is kind of, you can kind of see more of just like the full picture from, I don't know, I don't know whether it's like a cube you look through and you're like, oh, this is what's really going on the planet. Or, I'm not sure. It's probably super silly, but no, that's a good point.
right?
Or maybe you don't have any knowledge. Maybe you're just as confused, but you just learned a little bit more this life, and then you're taking it, and it's just like thousands of times you repeat this process. Which doesn't really sound too fun, though.
Right. Have you watched Midnight Gospel?
Yes, that show's great.
Okay,
On Netflix,
all of the
right?
episodes? Yeah.
I think, I don't know if I got through the whole season, but I think I watched like I think it's not very long, right? It's only like
it's not very many.
episodes.
Yeah, I think it's like 8, yeah, something like that. There was one episode where it was portraying, they were talking about like lives, past lives, future whatever.
Oh, yeah,
and just the way that they
that
portrayed that visually was really cool, and I liked that concept, how it was like they kept going through hell like 1,000 times, like, and dying in these crazy different ways and so violent and so intense, but finally like they get they get their purpose, and then they can finally kind of pass on and in peace, instead of keep returning and having to go through this like grueling life. I love that episode.
Yeah, and I think cool. That's really interesting too, because I think that's like happening to a lot of people. It's like a lot of karmic cycles are being broken, a lot of generational, like not necessarily like curses, but just generational difficulties, like things ideals are kind of being disintegrated, and we're watching them disintegrate. And like I can feel it in myself. It's like there's certain things that I just don't want to take on to the next generation, and maybe that's just like I'm finally hitting a place where it's like, okay, I actively have the confidence to pursue my passion. And I think a lot of people are feeling that. So I think, I think we're going to have like an American Renaissance. Like, I think it's going to be, like, I still am the optimist, and I still really believe that we're just going to hit this culmination of amazing art and just culture. That'd be amazing. And probably like the real culture of America, not so much of like what's been manufactured or what we're told to believe is the culture of America. It's like, I think any country you can kind of see the positives and negatives, but I think that, and maybe, I'm not saying America has a great history. We definitely have done a lot of things that are probably, pretty shameful and disgusting. I'm not going to lie. But I think that like, be under all of that, there's actually a really beautiful story of just, perseverance again, like just strength, just kind of being the iconoclast of the world, always kind of doing things on our own, just our own style and our own colors and textures, and our just autonomy and our freedom loving, feelings and passions. And those are really beautiful things that I think that if they're given the space to really survive and really grow and evolve, we're on the cusp of something really amazing.
Yeah, because that can totally flourish. I think we should take that into the future, instead of taking our terrible past and all the mistakes that these people have made and bring that into our future. Why not just leave that behind, and like you said, take the foundation of what's underneath all of that, and bring that into the future instead. Like, I feel like this year has been such a year of like a rise in patriots, and I think that's beautiful. I mean, I hated whenever, this is like a silly example, but like I hated going to like football games and like no one had school spirit. I hated it. I was like, why does nobody have school spirit around here? Like, what is wrong with you guys? Like, I don't know. It's like, what is wrong with loving the country that you're in? I don't know why everyone's so obsessed with like hating America, because I mean, look at other countries and look at how privileged we are. It's so silly when you complain about it. It's like, okay, again, step back and look at the bigger picture.
In other countries, like if you like burning a flag or even talking down about your country online, you end up in like a gulag, you end up in like a prison.
Yeah.
until
Right.
you're tortured until you say I love the country. So it's like it's like we really do have it really good here. And I think
Mm-hmm.
talking about like how come we really do need to move on with a lot of things. And I think we forget
Mm-hmm.
it's like there's never going to be anything that can be done to recoup what's been lost. Like it doesn't matter what we do, like the only thing that like could help that is just allowing us the space to build and the space and the freedom to like attack our own difficulties and like
Mm-hmm.
just not having our hands tied or behind our back. It's That's the only way,
Right.
but it's still not going to be enough. It's still not going to take away the pain of many cultures, to
Yeah.
be honest, that have like gone through
Yeah.
slavery or indentured servitude or torture or so many things.
Yeah, absolutely.
I think we need to just remember that it's like there's something that can be done to rectify things that
Erase
have,
that.
yeah, to that the horrors that we've experienced. Um, there definitely needs to be. I think everybody we kind of lost that ability. Like we kind of just lost the pride of just like I have to be the best at my job and I want to be the best. Like I think we've definitely lost that collectively. It's just that passion, that
Mm-hmm.
drive to just like be the best and kind of break through all sorts of barriers. And you see it sloppy work in a lot of our
Yes, really.
institutions, like
Yeah.
so much sloppy work. And it's like it's a shame when it's attached to like a life and it's attached to bodies, but
Mm-hmm.
it's like it starts from the ground. Like an ant, when every little speckle of sand it picks up, it's like picking it up like it's gonna die in 30 seconds, but it might. And I think
Yeah.
we need to look at every moment with such care and interest and
Yes.
just be the best and just focus on being the best and winning and doing well and just making sure everyone's experiencing the best time on this planet that we can.
Yeah, absolutely. I
Mm,
hope for that as well.
me
And I
too.
hope you guys feel the same. I wonder how, everybody listening feels, but let us know.
Yeah. On the eve of one of the craziest nights in I don't know of my lifetime in the United States. Yeah, I guess just remember to meditate. Just think about like what do you want to bring. Like, if things don't turn out the way that you have planned tomorrow night,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
or I don't know, 7 weeks. I'm not really sure how long it's going to
Right.
take. It could be six
Who the
months
hell
before
knows?
we know what's going on. Just
Mm-hmm.
think about like what are you going to do to bring forward to like help your community thrive no matter what happens. What are
Yeah.
you like what's
Yeah.
still important to you? What are the goals that you have that you want to achieve no matter who wins? Like don't let that stop you from pursuing them.
Yeah, absolutely. What do you want to cultivate for your life? And yeah, focus on that. Yay. All right, guys. This has been a fun talk. Very
Yeah, yeah.
constructive talk.
Yeah, yeah.
Important things need to be said.
Yeah, I felt like we kind of had to. It's like the elephant in the room,
Yeah.
it's happening, and it's
Right.
something
No
that
matter,
involves
yeah.
all of us. So I definitely wanted to spend some time to talk about it and just kind of just bring back balance and just remember that it is what it is, and we just have to keep going. That's what we are. That's the one thing all Americans can agree that we all have. We have this
Yes.
genealogy of just no matter what, we don't stop, we don't quit, we just keep going until we do. I don't know, we just kill it. And we need to
Yeah,
remember that like
totally.
that's who we are. That's the ground that we are born from has it in the dirt, and it doesn't matter who
Yeah.
wins. We just have to remember that we have potential to do anything.
Yeah, absolutely. Well said. Well said. All right, guys. Well, um, good luck with
Message
good luck.
us, let us know how
Good
you're
luck with
feeling, hit us up on Instagram and
yes.
comment on our YouTube. And yeah, we want to know what you guys are thinking on the eve of election day and like what you guys have planned. Like how are you guys going to, no matter what happens, like what are you setting your eyes on?
Yeah. Let us know. Give us a DM, comment on our page, whatever you got to do. And we will check in with you guys next week after all the craziness.
Thanks for joining us.
Bye, guys.
Bye.